Classes in session.
Okay, welcome to Unlearn 16 Classes in Session. Look at who I have with me today.
Hello.
It is Ana Pac, my fiance, for those who are just listening, and she is here. Oh, I have her for a whole hour, folks. A whole hour. Wow. You don't ever want to talk this much.
That's a lot of talking. I don't know if I can do a whole hour.
Don't worry, I can fill. All right, so we have her here, and what we're really going to focus on is the fact that this incredible woman really has sort of a whole host of talents. She's a professional dancer, tap and hip hop, although I'm pretty good. I mean, she's good, but I mean, I'm almost there.
You're so close.
So close. An actor, and now a singer and a recording artist. Mm-hmm. So this recording artist part is what we're going to talk about. You jumping into the music industry in this particular way. And it kind of happened, I want to say, out of the blue. I mean, we've been together for 2 years, and right at the very beginning, you're like, oh, by the way, guess what? I have a song coming out. I mean, that's how we started. So why don't you tell our listeners and our viewers how that kind of came to pass, and then we're going to roll up into what she's doing right now because it's very cool, so stay tuned.
Well,
careful. She says she's not a talker, but wait till you hear her story times. Here we go.
This one time.
One time. Girl.
I was on set, so I was doing an acting job. So I was on set, and they had a bunch of tables, and I sat at this table, and then a gentleman comes in and sits at the table, and we started talking because, you know, you have to wait a long time when you're on set. And we started talking about music, and I was saying how I was interested in getting into that. And he goes, oh, well, I'm a songwriter. Like I do this for a living. And he starts naming songs off that he's done. And then he says, I actually wrote, When a Mama's Boy Meets a Daddy's Girl, which if you're a country fan,
I think there's a dog in the song though. Is there a dog?
I don't think so. No.
Truck?
No. Anyways, it's a beautiful wedding song, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love that song. And so I had a couple clips on YouTube of me singing cover songs because I wanted to get into it. And so,
side note, what's your favorite cover song to sing?
Probably Sucker for You by the Jonas Brothers.
You do like that?
I love that song.
Why do you love it so much?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
continue. And so I showed it to him, and he said, yeah, absolutely, like pop, I can do that too. And we started talking about this song that he was currently working on. And then the next day, same table, same situation, same set. But now a lovely lady comes over and she sits at the table with us.
It just sounds so crazy, guys. It sounds so insane that you're just sitting there and all of a sudden you're thinking in your head, I'm going to throw out a couple covers. Like how many covers would you say you would have had on at that point?
Maybe 3.
Great. Three songs, yeah. Right? 3 songs, 3 covers. You're sort of taping yourself in your house, mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
3 songs, 3 covers. And all of a sudden, you've thought about it. You're kind of thinking about it. I want to get into it. And a guy sits next to you and said, oh, by the way, I wrote one of the most, famous songs in country music very recently. Let's write some stuff together. And then this woman sits next to you and she says
that she owns a record label. So she overhears.
Who's that happen?
So she overhears us talking about writing the song and working on the song. And then she says that she has a record label. And so she said, I started talking to her to see, to have more information. And she goes, I need these. I can't remember what the 3 things that she asked me for, but I remember she asked for 3 things. And she goes, I need these 3 things.
It's so upsetting because the people at home are probably like, what 3 things do you need, Anna?
I don't remember.
Maybe they want to get into the music business. And she's not holding these 3 things close to her chest or anything.
But it's funny because when we talk about it today, even she can't remember what 3 things she asked me for.
She's just sitting there and she's like, all right, I'm going to see if this kid's serious. So I'm just going to give her 3 random things. One of them was run 100 meters under 11 seconds and tape it.
Anyways, and so she handed me her card. And then that's how that started. And then she was down for it. She was all for it. And then Stephen Lawrence, which is the gentleman who is the songwriter,
right.
He had previously written this song, and he says, I kind of have this idea, but let's mold it to what your sound would be. Let's mold it to what you want to say. And so we took that song and then worked on changing a couple lyrics and making it fit to something that I would sing. And then we went in and recorded it. And then it was handed to DJ Danny D. He wanted to do a remix to it.
That's a famous Toronto DJ, just for those listeners who are from the States. They're like, I don't know Danny D. But nonetheless, and
So
he found it.
He was very much interested, and he made a remix to it. And then that's how Down in My Whip, which was my first single, came to be.
Very cool. And so you do, and this happens quick.
Yeah.
I feel like this happened really quick. Like you sat down, like it took a minute to come out. I feel like it took a while to come out.
Yeah.
But you sat and all of a sudden, and then it's like, okay, so we got the first one done under your belt. That one became more techno, I think, than your vibe is now. I think you're more pop, right?
Yeah. So the remix was like an EDM pop dance.
That kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'll sing it for you later, guys. I'm going to have to charge. Okay, so you did that, and then you wanted to sit down, and now you gotta really sit down and think about what your sound's going to be, what songs you want to sing, all of those kind of things. And for me, I'd be like, oh my God, I have so many things to say, so many important words, so many important political, social justice. I'm gonna, and for you? What's your motivation?
It's positivity. It sounds, as cheesy as it does, everything that I think about and everything that I do is all about listening to who you are and your heart and just being positive about it. That's my spin on everything. So when I write music and when I want to put things out, it's about having the strength and the mindset to be able to shift things when maybe they're not so positive into a positive.
Because, okay, we're going to get to where you are now, but were you ever scared? Were you ever like, I haven't, like, have you had significant training at this point? Like, at that point, when you're getting into singing?
Of singing? I had taken a couple lessons here and there.
Right? Mm-hmm. But you played the piano.
Yes.
And you played the guitar. So you were, you taught yourself how to play the guitar?
I've played classical piano, but I wanted to learn how to play guitar, so then I YouTubed it, and I started teaching myself how to play guitar. That
noise is my cat finding plastic. For those, that could be like, what's that? What's that when people listen to sounds and it soothes them?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Whatever that is, and they go. Anyways, that was, she's settled now, so you won't hear that again. Okay, so you've been around music your whole life. Your whole life.
As a dancer, constantly working with music.
But when I say what drives you then, so what drives you is positivity, which is amazing. And I can't believe we're getting married, because not that I'm not positive, but I'm a very different kind of positive, because I focus a lot on problems. I focus a lot on argumentation. I focus, and you're not. You're like, Joe, enough with the arguing. Can we just
be happy?
Can you just pick a favorite color? So that is your driving force. But then when it came to the music itself, why pop? Because you're like pure pop, 100%. People are always like, what kind of music? And they're always like, well, not quite pop. This one, no 100% pop, all in one.
I grew up with the Backstreet Boys. They were my first love. And then, what was that face for?
And then was me.
Barry Manilow.
You think Barry Manilow's pop?
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean?
What do you think Barry Manilow is?
I don't know.
Oh, 100% pop.
Chum FM. Is that pop?
Yeah.
I thought there was a different classification. I don't know if we can put I Love You, Barry, and Backstreet. Do those two go in the same category?
Absolutely. I think so.
I'm so confused. Can you define pop music for me then? I need some sort of an education.
I think it's popular. Isn't that what it stands for?
Oh my God, I almost spit out my tea all on...
Anyways, when I have an idea for a song, I always say I want to be able to dance to it.
So that's your driving force.
Yes. Right. So when I'm talking to my producer, it's always like, oh, I might need a little more of this so that I can dance to. Or can you give me a hit, a drum? Can you give me some kind of sound that I can then choreograph around?
Right. So your performance then will always be like singing, but every single performance you're going to have dancing in it. You're going to have dancers, it's going to be that level of energy.
At some point, I would like to get to writing some kind of ballad, which I would like to just sit and have like a guitar player with me and just kind of sing that one out. But for the most part, you're going to play the guitar?
No, it would be about me.
The ballad will be about you.
Okay,
yes.
all right. Hey, listen, I just found out the difference between the beat and the rhythm. So I'm almost there.
Okay, explain it to them,
Well, no.
please.
No,
I'd really like to see your take on it.
I just feel like the beat is the underlying base of the entire song, whereas the rhythm can change, like is the underpinnings of the melody, like how fast it goes, how slow it goes, how it changes up, but the beat remains consistent and the rhythm can change.
Absolutely. Look at you.
Guys, if I would have learned that years ago, I had no idea. Do you know how long I've been dancing to the rhythm? Anyways,
you can dance to both. You can always dance to both.
I don't know if I can. I'm just going to blame the beat and the rhythm, but
Sure.
nonetheless. Okay, so you want to write positive, you want to be able to dance to it, that's your driving force. So what's your second song you write?
My second song was called This Is. And it's about rallying up everybody into that same mentality of let's be positive, let's have a good time. You be you. Let's do it.
Do you think you've always been like that?
Subconsciously, maybe. I remember with skating, I used to be a short track speed skater. And I remember
on the track, like on the road to the Olympics.
I remember my mom always saying, think positive. Just think positive.
Right.
So it's always been in the back of my mind, I think. More recently, I would say in the last maybe 5 or 6 years, I've really like dug into it and studied it. And
so the idea, for those who are listening, and you can hear her beads clacking around all over the place, but the idea, and I just touched them, so don't worry, in her hair, she's like, in her head, she's like, I'm not supposed to touch them, she gotta go cleanse them. We'll be back right after Anna cleans her bead. No. But that and the ability to focus and the ability to manifest and the ability to direct energies and control energies, that's pretty much that's you in a nutshell. Like that's your
absolutely, that's
focus.
what I believe in. That's what I spent hours learning about, and
you've read
immersing
like 15
myself
books
in it. Absolutely.
On manifesting, on all of those kinds of things, in which we don't see.
If you want to start, The Secret is a great book to start with.
And you would say that it's this kind of manifestation, it's this kind of energy that you're putting out there that had Steven sit next to you and had Veronica come to you the next day and had everything else rolling out.
Absolutely.
Listen, there's part of it that I agree with. I mean, I don't know why you hate it when I touch your beat so much, but there's part of it that I get. I get having, for those out there who aren't like Anna, who haven't studied it, who are more like me, I kind of equate it to fake it till you make it. And I know there's people out there who can be like, Joanne, that's not the same. But the idea is you got to be who you want to be in order to get there.
Absolutely.
That's it, yep. Right? If you want to be a singer, act like a singer. Be a singer. Don't just hope for it one day. Right. Figure out how to be that now.
You gotta do what it is that you want to do and just be it.
Right. So that you're not
someone that I used to follow on YouTube used to say it's be, do, have, not have, be, and do.
It's so interesting though, because I think a lot of people are in circumstances where it's just so heavy and so hard, right? To put their mind outside of the circumstances in which they're in. Like you and I have had, let's be honest, pretty charmed lives in a lot of ways. We have very supportive families. We come from backgrounds economically where we've always been very much supported and then been able to support ourselves. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because when we say that, I don't want to be flippant about it, because there's one thing to be able to do that when you're sitting in a situation that is, easier than others. But I would say it's probably just as important, if not more important, that the worse your situation, the more that you can control, that part of your mind.
I think so too.
Okay, so you write This As. I think, somebody pretty attractive films that video. Please go check it out on YouTube. Ana Pac, This Is. And then what?
And then we get to Blast Off.
Right.
Light Years and Beyond, which is I wanted to write a song about how I felt about you. And so And so I got together with Wendy, who's the other writer on the song. And there was more people who as well collaborated in the music side of it and all that kind of stuff. And we wrote Blast Off.
So no video for Blast Off.
There's
Did
a
you do a video?
There's
Lyrical
a
video.
Lyric video. Yeah.
And then very soon after Blast Off, you're like, I have this idea. Like you've been
Yes.
talking about this idea
For a while.
I want to say, months and months. Yeah. You've loved this idea. You came up with this idea. And it's the first time I've seen you really jump into the lyrics. Like, it's not that you didn't care about the lyrics before and you didn't write, but it's just like, I never saw you care so much about wording and about intent of a song than when you got to this one. Now, in all fairness, it's your fourth. Like, I mean, we're not deep in here, but you really care about the lyrics. So this song is called Bite the Rainbow. And this is the song you're going to be performing at Pride this coming weekend, June 25th.
June 25th, 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock on Church, just south of Gould. For anybody in the Toronto area, please come check it out on the Proud FM stage. I'm going to put that all at the bottom here so people can see that as well. But you're writing these lyrics now mean something and they have weight. And you start talking about this song the way that I talk about, elections in the United States all of a sudden. You're like all revved up and like, no, it's got to be this way. And this is what it means. And this is, so you're going to have to share maybe some of the lyrics. Why is the song so important? What are your favorite lyrics? And why does, why this song?
It's, I find that the way that I dress sometimes and the way that people just choose to present themselves for whatever reason sometimes gets criticized, or someone always has something to say about it. And societal norms have put into place these boxes. And at the end of the day, not every night, but like, I'm always thinking like, what's the reason? Why are those boxes there? And I could never come up with an actual answer that makes sense. Like, it's there, but why? And so that kind of, it limits people. And I just feel like if we stop limiting people, then people could just surprise you. Like, anything is possible when you don't limit someone, right? So my favorite lyric in Bite the Rainbow is, gender is so passé, binary is not the way. So binary being that we've always just had the gender male and female.
Masculine and feminine, yeah.
Right. And that's always been there. But like, why? It doesn't have to be there. I just don't think that there should be.
So while we're talking about this, let me give a bit of a distinction here. So differentiating between sex and gender. So sex, if you were born, what parts you were born with, and gender, the characteristics you exhibit. Now, societally speaking, we've always assigned the two different sexes, even though biologically there are 8, but nonetheless, the two different sexes, we've always assigned men, masculine traits, masculine ways of cutting your hair, of wearing jeans, of walking, of sitting at a table, even, for crying out loud, of speaking, of competing, jobs that are associated with masculinity. And then the opposite are associated with femininity. So on the feminine side, you have delicate, you have nurturing, you have emotional, you have cooperative. Dress styles will have like dresses and skirts, and you're dainty, and you're all of those things. You're more quiet. You will listen more. Whereas masculinity has always been associated with aggression and leadership and, strength and power and athleticism and those kind of traits, as well as the physical, pants and t-shirts and hoodies and backwards hats and all the things that you're wearing right now. And so they've always been assigned. And you're saying these assignments that we've given to people just on the basis of how they were born.
Yeah. Like, what was the reason? Like, why?
What was the reason?
There's no, just let, in my opinion,
what was the reason?
People be people.
That's
let
a
them
good,
just.
Wait, what do you think? We can't skip the hard question.
I don't have an answer. That's why I'm saying, like, why?
Okay, but and gender roles and gender identifiers change over cultures and over time. I think, here's what I think, my 2 cents. You know how much I hate to give that, guys. My 2 cents is this. I think people you don't like boxes. I think people feel comfortable. They feel comfortable in a box sometimes until it really constrains them. I think
Sure.
they feel comfortable getting accolades in that box. I think they feel comfortable judging other people. Like when somebody's walking towards you, I think the stereotypes that exist in our head and the biases.
But they're only there. The stereotypes and the biases are only there because this binary was created. Imagine a world where that binary was never created. There would be no stereotype. There would be no biases.
My question is very simple.
And it's not that I don't like boxes. If you want to be in a box, go ahead and be in that box. I'm not here to tell you not to be in a box. I'm just saying
that's important.
Not everybody wants to be in that box.
That's an important distinction. And that's one I struggle with a lot because I talk an awful lot about gender, and I'm not a big fan of binaries. I'm not a big fan of gender and assignment of anything. But there's lots of people who are like, no, those are the qualities. A lot of people who are transgendered are like, no, that's who I am. Both physically, emotionally, characteristically driven, that's who I am. And we're not saying that's not who you can be. We just don't like the assignment of such.
Sure. Like you get to pick whether you want to be in that box or not. I guess pick is the wrong word. But
listen, I think it's funny because I think a lot of this comes from just nature in general, and specifically from a woman being able to have a baby. Look, you can think of sociological reasons for the boxes, not how we cut our hair. I'm going to put that way over here. But let's think of it like this.
You mean
traditionally, right? Cis-born women have children. So by having children and by physically giving birth, it makes sense. It's not a stereotype. It makes sense that they're the ones, if they can feed the children, that they stay home with the children.
It makes sense that if they can, because
but back in the day, we're going way back, right? The only people that can feed a baby, like there's no formula. We're talking about the way that kind of got created, and I'm just saying, I think in the basis of it,
you're telling me that back in the day, someone that gave birth to a baby who is now feeding the baby, this person can't go out and do something else?
But I am saying that we would start attributing a more nurturing, caretaking stereotype to that person because they are doing it. Statistically speaking, because I'm not saying it's right. I'm just trying to tell you where it comes from. Where it can come from a traditional place. It can come from
just because just because you can do something doesn't mean that you're either going to do it right or that you're
100%. I'm not talking.
That's where I'm like, just because you can do something doesn't mean you're gonna do something.
Yeah, but all stereotypes are garbage. But we're wondering where they came from, right? And the notion that the guy would go out, and this isn't true in all indigenous societies, by the way. So we could talk about that. But the guy would go out, the guy would do the hunting, the guy would whatever, and then come back. Historically, men have always gone to war up until but relatively recently.
Why? That's my point, is that there is no...
Well, I think, but it's all based in who bears the children, who protects the children. And I hate to say this, but statistically, men tend to be physically bigger and stronger. So maybe that... And by the way, I don't think physicality makes you better at war or better at hunting, whatever.
Right, but that's what I was going to say. There's different attributes that somebody else...
And if you go far enough back, men and women look much more similar physically than they do today.
And not to mention that you can have like a scrawny little soldier just because...
I saw Captain America before he got that shot. See, if you'd only watch pop culture movies, it could be a much better...
Anyways.
Totally get that. So... talking about gender today, and talking about how it's a social construction, and talking about how we put this on kids, and we put it on babies instantaneously. We talk differently, we clothe them differently, and this is the thing that you're so passionate about.
And they kind of go hand in hand, but it's also part of the song is being able to figure out who you really are.
Mm.
Because you could go through life and not have had the option, or not have had, maybe the option is the wrong word, but not have had maybe the environment to realize, I like this
Yeah.
more than I like this.
This feels more authentic to me.
This feels more real. But if you've never had this to try or whatever, then like you're not complete in your journey.
Mm.
So it's also about taking the time to figure out who you are, and then it might take you half a second and you know, or it might take you years. Regardless, take the time, take your journey, do it. And that one comes from sip it, lick it, bite it, where you can take,
Oh, I misread that lyric.
you can take sip it, and you can go slow in
Is
your
that
journey.
what you meant?
Yeah, lick it, go a little bit faster, bite it, dive into it. But you are allowed to go at whatever speed you want.
You just made something so meaningful. I thought wasn't dirty.
No, that's what it was.
Not dirty at all.
Mm-hmm.
But that makes a lot of sense. And what also makes sense, and I know that you're big on this as well, and the song kind of taps into it, is that it doesn't necessarily have to be a linear journey.
No.
You don't necessarily have to go from A to B to C to D. D is your final destination.
Mm-hmm.
You can go from A to C, back to A. You can go hang out at F. Do whatever the heck you want to do, as long as you're figuring out and being authentic to what feels good
to you
and authentic
Yeah.
to you. And
as
that
long
might
as you're
change.
not, and don't get me wrong, it's like as long as you're not hurting anybody, right?
Absolutely.
Just you're allowed to be you, and you're allowed to figure out who you is.
Who you are.
Who you is.
Who you is?
You're allowed to figure out who
you are.
is.
No. Who? In the comment section below, please correct Anna's grammar.
I'm not saying who you are. I'm saying you're allowed to figure out who you.
You keep saying it.
Is. You as a person.
Are.
Is.
We just lost like 20 viewers on that tirade. But don't worry, more of those are going to come in a second. I think that's super important because, I mean, we're running into Pride, right? We're running into Pride, and this is your first time performing at Pride.
Yep.
This is all very exciting. Are you ready for the painted bodies and the water guns and the beads and the...
Bring it all.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
All right. But what's also interesting is the community. I mean, the community outside of the LGBTQ plus community is one thing, but the community itself is another thing. And I find even within the community, a lot of people don't speak to this because, heaven forbid, we're just honest about the way people function. Sometimes there's a lot of restriction even from that community. So I will go to Pride. I will feel nothing but love. Having said that, we're talking about a lot of fluidity here, right? Like a lot of fluidity of a lot of things. We could be talking about fluidity of gender, fluidity of presentation, fluidity of sexuality, anything, right? Everything gets to be transitional. But there's a lot of people within the community, outside of the community, who are like, no, just pick a... And this is kind of, I think, where we're at in the gay rights and queer rights movement, is that I think we got to a place where people are like, okay, you're gay guy, gay girl, okay, you're gay, you like this, we get that. But then you enter, somebody who's bisexual. People sit back and go, pick a team.
No.
I mean, but I
get
know
you.
you say no. I know you say no.
You're saying that
but a lot
happens,
of people
yeah?
are doing that, right? A lot of people get very agitated,
Mm-hmm.
and I always try to pinpoint the agitation. I get mad at hate, don't get me wrong, but I try to listen to the agitation, or I try to listen to the frustration or the undercurrents, because I think it's important to have these discussions, because I think people feel so much more comfortable in boxes, or everybody identifying with boxes and knowing what's coming. So when somebody says, listen, I'm pan, meaning I'm going to be attracted to the soul, whether they're straight, whether they're gay, whether they're trans, none of that matters to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people have a huge problem with that because there's so much fluidity and the box is just melted down to the ground. Because when we talk about gender, I think this is the foundational box, if you will. It's the first box we get put into. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like, and it crosses race lines, it crosses religious, everything. And I think it's this foundational thing we kind of relied on for a level of structure, even though, by the way, I don't think it ever existed. The Hindus believe that gender is a delusion. That's a religion that's over 5,000 years old. They believed it was it. So this concept's not new. I just think that people rely so heavily on it because it gives them a stability in an unstable world. Can you understand? Because I try to understand people I don't agree with, but can you understand that? Can you understand needing the box? Even though I don't agree, part of me can understand. I like to know what's coming at me. I mean that in just like if I can prejudge you a little bit, then I know how to interact with you. Then I know what to expect from you. Then I don't get as surprised.
I understand what you're saying, but I think that, again, all that comes from the fact that these boxes were created in the first place.
But I don't know if somebody sat down and went,
You don't think someone sat down and went,
no,
blue is for boys and pink is for girls? I feel like someone sat down and said that for sure. But why?
But that's progressive, right? What I'm saying is, like, I think a lot of it was like sort of built on through different cultures, different time periods, right? Blue used to be for girls, by the way, and pink was for boys. So that switched at some point in our history. All I'm saying is that
this was created in order to judge people.
I don't know if it's
so. Then let's stop judging people.
Oh, listen, I'm with you. We're just trying to fix something here.
Okay.
So if we're gonna fix it, we can't just say cut it out. I feel like we have to understand where emanates from. Like when I walk down the Barbie aisle, I don't know. You guys don't have Toys R Us down in the States anymore. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. We still have it in Canada. It's the number one reason to move here, outside of Trump doesn't live here. I'm sorry, I won't be political. But have you ever been walk down the Barbie aisle? The Barbie aisle can give me a migraine. It is so pink and so aggressively so. And I walk down there and I think all of the socialization that exists in this one aisle, and boys are different, right? I mean, socialize different. It's not to say boys can't have a Barbie, but when a boy picks up a Barbie, you see a TikTok about it and it's like 50 million people watching goes, that's amazing, because it's so like out of the norm and it's becoming more normal.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people, and like I said, I think this is important to talk about. People are afraid of what they don't know.
Okay, but what you just said about the Barbie aisle being pink and how it's like geared and whatever. But again, that comes back to the fact that somebody said that that was just for whatever.
Oh, 100%.
But imagine if that had never happened, that aisle could still be pink.
Listen, I'm with you, sister.
Okay.
I think, we're here. We can't go back. Your song is so important and the message is so important. We can't go backwards. We can't go back and undo.
Fix it.
I need a DeLorean. Do you know what a DeLorean is? What movie is that from?
I thought you were referencing a Mandalorian.
A Mandalorian? Guys. Oh my God. DeLorean's from Back to the Future. Okay. He goes back in time.
Got it.
Maybe a Thanos ring. I don't know. Not to snap people. I'm sorry. Just go back. But we're here. We are where we are. All I'm trying to do is this. I think there are people that are 100% with us or 90% with us. Okay, what we're saying right now. Great. We don't need to convince them. They're already on the team. See at Pride. That's gay, straight, your family, your dog, whoever. Do it up. Come on down. June 25th. 5 o'clock, Church Street, south of Gould. And there's people on the other side, unfortunately, the Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, like the extreme right wing that doesn't represent all Republicans, doesn't represent all people, but is just so venomous and so angry and hates that things drag time, story time is the worst thing that the world's ever seen. Those people, I don't see us getting at those people, but here's what I also think. I think there's a huge chunk of rational, intelligent, but maybe unaware, but maybe they haven't had access. Maybe nobody's having a healthy, calm, relatable conversation. And I think if we can, those people are a good majority, I think, of the population. So those people that are just unsure, that this is also new, that they just grew up in a town where this wasn't even questioned, and because it's brand new for our generation, really. For your generation, like, she's slightly younger than I am. I'm going to tell you a story. I mean, there was no girls. Maybe were allowed to be tomboyish to a point, and then it was like not anymore. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that middle group of people are afraid of what they don't know, and if we can figure out a way to calmly, like, intellectually have these conversations, they don't fall onto the other side of the fence. The Ron DeSantis don't say gay, because they rile that group of people up and create an evil or this horrible thing that exists where it doesn't actually exist. But we people like, you and this song need to address it. So what do we do?
What do we do?
Yeah, how do we fix that?
We just accept people.
Yeah, I know, but how do we get at those people? I mean, a song like this, what do you think that step is, right? Like, you grew up the way you grew up, right? You grew up in your family, and look at who you are today, and you've accepted and embraced and all of this stuff, but you've known people that don't, right? And I think that's the first place we start. You know people that don't. When I first came out, I know people that didn't, you know what I mean? And in my opinion, the quickest thing that changes them, the quickest by far, is a person in their life that challenges that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that putting like songs like this out there, I think, is incredibly important, because as soon as somebody can hear that, as soon as somebody can see that reflected, they maybe can be a little bit more of who they were. And the more that they are a little bit more of who they are, the people around them have no hope, have no chance, or no choice but to go, oh, well, that's amazing. Look at how happy that person is, right? I think that's incredibly important. Would you like to see what would you like to see with this song? Besides opening for Justin Bieber. Justin, that's the hope. Start manifesting, people.
I want this song to, I guess, open people's hearts in order to accept what a loved one, or even what themselves, is trying to tell you.
Yeah.
About being proud of who you are, and being excited to, if you're not sure, to figure it out. Being open to, hey, this could be a possibility. That could be a possibility.
Mm-hmm. How do you, I mean, I grew up in a time where, it sounds like I grew up in 1912. But the 90s, I mean, it's kind of like that, right? Like, you got to know, like, being gay in the 90s was not okay. HIV was still like the disease of gay men, that there was just that, like, it was horrible gay bashing was going on at that time, and it just wasn't an option.
But it could also be for that, really, anybody to figure out. Like, it took a lot of years for me to realize who I really was. And so let's say that a young person listens to this song now, they'll get a certain message out of it. But what if, like, an older person listens to this song right now, and then it's like all of a sudden, this window or this door opens, and they're like, hey, like, no, I was this for X amount of years, but this is me.
I think that I was just thinking about that lady from League of Their Own who just came out in 95.
I was going to mention that too.
What's her? Mabel?
Mabel.
Oh, that's all. We should go down there and meet her.
We should.
I don't know how we do that.
But isn't that amazing?
95. I mean, I think she knew who she was before.
Sure, but the fact that she could just now...
Think about being gay then.
Yeah.
1945? 44?
Well, I don't know, but...
Well, that's when she was playing. Have you seen League of Their Own?
You showed it to me, yes.
And she loved it, Maybell.
I did.
But I think that's really important. It's really interesting because, like, a lot of people are like, oh my God. Like, I only came out when I was 25. They're like, oh my God, really? I'm like, because I'm so gay, right? It's the hair. But it wasn't even, I try to explain this to people, and I don't even know how. It wasn't even a conscious option. I was never conflicted because it was never even an option.
Yep.
And I don't know how else to explain. And I have a feeling that even though we're in 2022, there's still tons of kids and adults that are in positions and have grown up in such a way where they're not necessarily, resisting something or ignoring something. It's just not
You don't know.
an option. You don't even know it's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know it's a thing and that's why when people say, "Oh, it shouldn't be a movie," absolutely it should, and not just because it shows somebody, "Oh, this is what it is to be gay," but it shows somebody, there's not just one way. That's it, right? Everybody's losing their mind about Buzz Lightyear. Have you heard about the Buzz Lightyear thing?
That there was
2 women.
Yeah. Oh,
I think there's.
I mean, I heard
women.
of. I didn't.
Was
I don't
there
know
2
the
women?
full story.
I think there's 2. Anyways, and everybody's losing their minds. But it's like, no. But when you show that and you normalize, it's no big deal. It's not this big plot point.
And you got to show. You have to show
diversity.
What's out there. It's like
the world. You have to, heaven forbid, reflect where we live.
Mm-hmm. It's like, I guess, now I didn't necessarily want to go political, but it's like when there's there's little kids, when there's like little kids in a kindergarten class, and there's someone, now I can't remember who said it, but someone was like, if you're reading a book about Sally being like dropped off at school by her mom and dad, and the whole book is like, Sally loves going to school with her mom and dad because they do this and this on the drive to school or whatever. Well, I don't know, maybe Sarah has 2 moms. So where's the book of Sarah enjoys her walk home from school with her 2 moms because they do this and this.
There we go.
And
how, I mean, it's just so innocuous. I mean, nobody's talking about anything deeper than those are the realities that kids have. And there's a lot of psychologists that agree that by the age of 4 or 5, kids have established a significant gender identity. Now, it's interesting because by that age, you would think that a lot of it is socialized. Of course it is. And so sometimes that, it goes in different directions and it can shift. But the fact you could very easily have a little boy coming to school who doesn't necessarily want to wear what stereotypically all the other little boys are wearing. So he runs in a dress. And then all of a sudden you get to acknowledge that because some of those other little boys have been said, "Oh, you can't do that."
But now
whereas this little boy's like, "Wait a minute." And it's exactly what happens to me. What I tell you all the time, and sometimes you've seen it, when little girls, especially I'd say 6, 7-year-old girls, see me. Maybe I'm wearing my hat. Maybe I've just got a fade and I'm wearing my baggy jeans or whatever. And they'll walk by me and I'll see them do this. And I'll turn, I'll smile. And
for those of you who are listening, she had a question face.
Oh, I'm sorry. For the listeners, yeah, just that slow look as I walk by. And what they're always trying to figure out is, am I a boy or a girl? And the funny part is 9 times out of 10, they implicitly know. But their question to their mom or dad is usually, is that a girl? And when they say yes, their question is, well, why can't I cut my hair like that? Or I like those jeans, or, right? What I've done just by walking in that place, no, that kid doesn't care about who I date. But by walking in that place, they realize, oh, I don't just have to wear A, B, and C. I can wear whatever I want and still be, me. And I think that's so, so important. I think that's important in music. I think that's important in life. I think that's important, every place we go. All right. Well, as a final wrap up, didn't you say you were playing at Pride?
I am.
My phone has been blowing up this whole time and it's making me insane. I'm going to lose my mind. I swear to God, guys, if that's my mom texting me 300 times, I'm going to.
Uh-oh.
So, getting back to it.
Toronto Pride, June 25th.
Toronto Pride, June 25th.
5 o'clock.
5 p.m.
Proud FM party stage.
Proud FM party stage on Church Street. south of Gould, north of Dundas. And I'm going to put all that information in the little bio underneath here so you know. Go check out Ana Pac on Ana_Pac official.
No.
Is that Instagram?
Instagram is Ana Pac official. TikTok is Ana_Pac.
And if you want to go see the TikToks, you can see her trying to teach me how to dance, which is A-okay. Any other words of wisdom?
You can stream Bite the Rainbow on any streaming platform.
Fantastic. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And next podcast, I'm going to make her get a little more political, and I'm also going to make sure she's actually seen Back to the Future.
I've seen it.
Have you, though?
Thanks for having me, babe.
Have a great day, guys. We'll see you next Tuesday, same bat time.
Same bat station.
She got it right. Bye, guys. Dismissed.